Welcome everyone to New Gen P's webinar. We are very pleased to have Shahin with us for this webinar. Here at New Gen P, Joanna and I enjoy doing these webinars. We try to do them monthly as a way to give back to the community and a way to share with you information about project management, product ownership, and I guess more importantly about product ownership and the importance of product ownership for organizations to help advance their business, help implement their strategy. We'll do a little bit of a wrap up at the end, talk about some of the webinars we've done this year and talk a little bit about some of our plans for next year, as we are, hard to believe, into December 11th here when this is being recorded. So thank you those for taking your time to join us for this webinar. Very excited to hear about Kanban. So before we go any further, before I go any further, I am Peter Monkhouse, if you don't already know. If you have any questions, please enter them in the chat group. Joanna and I will be monitoring them, and we'll see how we go with Shahin, if we add them in or not. Also, the recording of this will be made available over the weekend on our website. If you want to watch it again or pass it on to your friends, it will also be available on our YouTube channel. So with that, Joanna, I'll turn over to you to introduce our guest for this webinar.
Thank you so much, Peter. And thank you everyone for being with us. This is our last webinar for the year. And as Peter is saying, it's hard to believe we are in December, but I'm happy that we can put this year behind us. It's been a challenging year. And I thank everybody who have been with us in this journey with these webinars and coming to these webinars and seeing your faces and your names every time. I do appreciate that you're here with us. So today we have Sheidaei with us. I'm so excited because I really enjoy Kanban, and everybody who knows me knows that I love Kanban. And we've been talking about this, and we said, oh, how do we link Kanban to product management and product operations? And this is the great opportunity to do that. And Shahin has been working, he has been a great influencer in the Agile community. I've known him since the times I was organizing Toronto Agile conferences. And he's been talking about business agility. He's been talking about Kanban. He took his accredited Kanban trainer certification. And when he did that, I said to him, well, now is the time to do this Kanban session together. And I thank him so much for that, because this is another opportunity to engage the community. He's also a leader of the Lean Agile Network. He's founder of Agile Games, a very fun event that I've been at, and I definitely encourage everybody to attend. And he's also a principal coach at Elevate Change. So with that, I will pass it on to Shahin to talk about Kanban and product management.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Joanna and Peter, for having me. And hello, everyone, and thanks for joining. Thanks for spending the next hour with me and with Joanna and Peter talking about Kanban. Hopefully I'm not ruining your lunch. Hopefully you're having some lunch at this time and not on another meeting. So let me share my screen. And then we can get started. If someone can tell me they can see my screen, that would be nice.
Yes, you're great. We see your screen. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so thanks for the great introduction, Joanna. I started Elevate Change a couple of years ago, and this is how you can reach me, Shahin at elevatechange.co. If you have any questions, any comment after the talk or during the talk, you can follow me on Twitter and you can follow me on LinkedIn. I run a podcast as well, and it's not weekly updated, it's on a monthly updated. So if you guys interested, take a look and listen to it at Lean on Agile. And as Joanna said, I am running the Lean Agile Network. We are around 2,500 members there, and it's growing. So it's the 5th year that we are running that, and we are very fortunate to have great speakers in the Lean Agile Network or LAN. And yeah, so my background, I was a developer. A little to tell you guys about my background, I was a developer. Then I figured out that it's not easy to just develop and not focus on other aspect of software delivery to deliver a good software that the customer and the client or the people are using it. So there was one point that I got very distracted, very disappointed actually, with the management style of software delivery. I found my path to become a Scrum Master, Agile coach, and now I'm in the world of change management and Kanban. Most of the time I find myself. And I typically start with a Kanban approach when I'm engaged in some of the transformation or some of the consulting work. But today we are going to talk about a Kanban's hidden gem in product, and that's the service request lens. Before that, I have a quick ask for you. So I want to ask you guys to let me find out the chat and type in this. So I want to understand from us that we are here, what is Kanban? If you guys can go to this link, and it's going to show you a page that you can put in what do you think Kanban is. It's slido.com /Kanban gem. And I see there are 2 people there. If you have any challenges finding it, let me know.
Doesn't seem to be opening. That's the link. Maybe it's me.
So if it doesn't open, please go to slido.com and it asks you for code. Put in Kanban gem.
Okay, let me try that. Go over to my other screen.
So I see people are putting flow of efficiency, flow to manage workflow. Amazing. So real time, yeah.
Oh, got it. That now it's working. Yeah.
Okay. It's visual system of managing. Okay. Okay. 2 seconds more to manage work, and it's a board. Yeah. So thank you guys for putting. So what you guys are putting in, that's amazing. It means that we are dealing with a set of people or a group of people that know Kanban very well. So I don't need to spend much about Kanban and what it is, right? It's a simple planning tool. It's a method for managing. It can be real time, depending. It is amazing to be real time. It's a flow. It's a board, but what Kanban is, Kanban started from a Japanese term. It's called Kanban. It basically means signal and a board, for those of you that don't know that. So signaling something. It could be just a simple board. People might be referring to Kanban as just a board that has to do, doing, and done, a very basic example of a board. It could be referring to a card that is showing some information. Some of you put visualization there as what Kanban is. That's true as well. It could be rooted in the manufacturing, that the visualization was being done by stopping the whole process if something goes wrong. And in Toyota factories called and-done core. So if there is something in the process that is going wrong and something that cannot be done, there is a core that someone pull it down, and it's a visual representation that the process has to stop, and a visual representation that something needs to be done. But these are all great interpretation of Kanban, but there are more to Kanban just stickies and board. Sometimes you can see different color stickies or different color group stickies on your board. Sometimes you might see that there are more than to do and doing and done on your board. And sometimes you can see a very complicated and complex board that represents your whole system. So we are going to do another Slido one. I ask you guys go back to the Slido, same link that you clicked, and give me your opinion that Kanban is for delivery. True, false, or it depends. So again, for those of you that maybe joined, yeah, I see 3 people put in, and it depends, and true is having, and there's no false for it. Okay, so that's good. So I want to hear maybe from 1 or 2 of you guys that put it depends. What do you mean if we have someone to volunteer to talk about that?
Well, without knowing a tremendous amount, I guess, and I apologize, I gotta sort of talk in, different terms, but you may not be executing it. You could be just in a pilot sort of planning stage, I guess, and not necessarily delivering a product.
I thought you were going to say, I'm going to pick it depends anywhere that I see that.
Well, well, none of the above is never a good answer.
Yeah.
Or all of the above.
Right.
All of the above is always the correct answer.
Right. So the result of the survey that we did right now, Kanban is for delivery, represents how Kanban is being perceived in our industry. And people are thinking of Kanban is only for delivery, right? After you talked about it, you figure out what you want to build, you are going to use Kanban to deliver that. And we are going to say that this is a myth. And through today, I'm going to show how can you apply some of the tools and techniques of Kanban in your product side of things. And we are going to see how that's going to help us. For doing that, we are going to look at one great aspect of Kanban, or what you can all like if you get this aspect, you truly get Kanban, and it's called the Kanban Lens. So we are going to see what Kanban Lens is when we are talking about work and when we are talking about the knowledge work. So a Kanban Lens is a start from looking at work. So Kanban Lens doesn't want to look at the work something like this, something like that. We are in cubicles, we are just busy, we are doing our jobs, and because we are busy, we are doing our work. Kanban Lens start from seeing the work as a flow, and this flow is from where your customer are until you deliver them something to them. And so through this flow, your customer might come and say, I need this, I have this kind of need. You have a conversation with them, you identify what they exactly want or not yet, and you do some discovery work in the middle, and then your customer's need is your customer need is met. So a Kanban Lens puts you, you're looking at the work as a flow. You're not looking at hands off, for example, or you're not looking at when are you finishing this step at the work. And when you do that, you're going to focus on work and not the workers. When you're looking at the workflow, you're going to pay your attention to this part. Let me see if I can get the pointer. You are going to look at this part rather than the people part here, and asking them, when are you done, or what stages are you in? The next level of the Kanban Lens is that you are going to see actions applied to your work. again, you are going to look at the work as a workflow, and you are going to see these actions applied to the work. You are not going to see, you're training yourself, you're not focusing on seeing who has done this or who is responsible for it. You are going to figure out, okay, so development or developing in this environment has been done, or it has been moved to the next step. And as a result of that, you are going to get more discovery work emerges. So as you can going through your customer's need and your customer ask for you, you are going to figure out, oh, at this point, we discovered that we are going to have action G or action H happen as well. Let me stop here and see if you guys have any questions before moving on. If it does make sense for you, and if you have any comments or questions about this before I move on.
We are a
Maybe,
small, sorry, we are a small group, so you can either enter in the chat group or just open up your mics if you wish.
So Shahin, I just wanted to make sure that maybe you can explain further in terms of, you know, how action G and action H apply,
Right.
and you know, like how are these overlapping actions, and
Right.
why we're doing that.
Right.
And I see that you had another question from somebody, so thank you.
Well, go ahead. Or this feels like, in the terminology I'm used to, this is more request for proposal rather than request for quote. That the work is not, the customer has a need, but they can't totally define that need. So there's got to be some iterative approach here. That's the kind of the way I'm thinking of it.
Yeah, I am going to answer, or I'm not sure if it was a question, but answer, like, comment on your thought, and Joanna, yours, that the way that I like, it's very contextual based, right? But I can make an example that how, for example, action H and action G got discovered, right? For example, your customer wants something in their application. They are telling you that, oh, I want a notification capability in my application. Like, imagine like you're using a banking application, right? And I want to get notified whenever I am using, for example, my credit card, right? And this is a need from your customer, and you're doing the development. And at some point here, you figure out the customer didn't really told you that the notification should be in the app. It might be the notification could be through a text message, and it's easier for us, right? So that's a knowledge discovery work that we are talking about. Like we are discovering what exactly the customer wants through going through these actions. And to your comment, Kenneth, yeah, so this could be iterative. Like this could be, at this point, we are going to bring in a customer and talk to them and figure, okay, so we are up to this point. We have this idea. What do you think about it, right? Or even better, like we put something very fast to the production and get something, some data from them and figure out which one they liked or which one they didn't like better. Did it answer your question? Yeah. I see nodding. And
yeah, I think exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and when you are seeing these, you are seeing as a flow and you are seeing as bunch of actions, then you are going to have a lens that is going to help you see this whole thing as a service. So you are having a lens put on, and you're seeing this whole work that's being done as a service. You're just seeing the customer and the needs being met, and this is the whole thing that in the middle we are doing. We are delivering this service, which would be very nice to focus on delivery value. So if this is a service that the customer asks and customer needs us, There might be other services. How do we prioritize this service versus other service? How might be these kind of actions that happening might be dependent on others? So it gives you a lens to deliver value. And to be honest with you, I'm just putting so much information in so short time. So if you need question, and if you have question, if you are confused, I'm more than happy to answer you later on. But so when you are seeing the service, what Kanban Lens, the fourth lens that it puts on, is helping you to see bunch of services. So the way that your organization is laid on, you are going to see marketing, sales, business, for example, IT, customer operations, how each of these ones are interrelated to each other and delivering service maybe to the internal customers or maybe to the external customers. So and putting this lens is going to help you with the complexity of the delivery service to the end customer much easier. And you can look at the dependencies and deliver those in much comfortable way of dealing with the service delivery. So like in short, how does this Kanban lens help? It's going to get you to be a customer centric, because when you have this lens, you see the customer and service you're providing to the customer. What is exact? So you are going to ask yourself, who is my customer? What they care about? How do I know that I'm delivering the service for them? And you are going to have a service-oriented mindset, and it's going to be a complexity solver. If this service is so complex, what part of the organization am I being dealt with in delivering this system? But the question is, okay, so we talk about this Kanban lens, how we are going to put that to work for ourselves, right? So with this Kanban for lens in mind, I'm going to go through a simple Kanban board, and hopefully you get one or two tips or techniques or something to take away from today to apply to your Kanban system. So the first thing that I would suggest you do would be to start from your board. As a product person, you might have seen a board, or your team might have been using a board. So how can you make it a better one, or how can you improve your board, and how can it help with your role as a product person to be more customer centric? So a typical board could be something like this. A backlog is here, and this is an example of software development, because as I said, like most of the work was in software, but it could be anything. There's backlog, there's development, testing, validation, user acceptance, and done would be live in production, for example. And there are typically some tasks on the board called user story tasks, whatever you want to call them, and they are moving from left to right, and we are going to see them coming into done column, and we call them done. If you are familiar with Scrum, this could be very easy for you to comprehend, or you have seen this before. Typically, there is definition of done at the end of the board. And this definition of done, what it means is that we want to make sure that the job or the task is being completed. All of the things that needs to be taken care of. The test has been fully done, compliance with the system, security, like from the user perspective, whatever we promise, we deliver. You put everything into your definition of done. And if this is an example of your board, what can you do? Okay, so I guess let me put Anthony on mute. And if you have a question, please unmute yourself, because I was hearing a background noise. So this is typically a board that you would see. There's a definition of done, something happening, moving from left to right. So what you can do as a product owner or a product person, you probably don't know what exactly happening in development here. Or what you don't know what's happening in testing here. But what you can do is that instead of having a definition of done, something that we highly value in Kanban would be to have policies. So try to have your definition of done in a smaller pieces and create some policies alongside the board and not only at the end of your board. And let me tell you a little bit more about the policies. Policies are, you can think about them as set of rules or set of guardrails that if you are moving from this column to this column, these policies need to be met. And these policies, you don't need to be subject matter expert to come up with these policies. You can help facilitate that conversation with your team. And for example, talk to them and say, okay, so as a developer, or if we are in development, what does it take to get something to testing? What are some policies that we need to put here? Probably some of these policies that needs to be done from development to testing is already in your definition of done, but try to break them apart and put it alongside each line from moving from one stage to another. What does it help would be that it helps it. The first thing that it helps is that you won't get something in the last column, and when you look at your definition of done, someone says, oh, like it's 95% done based on our definition of done, but what shall we do with the last 5%? Or like 10 out of 11 is done and there's only one that we cannot accept or is not complying by. And then as a product person, you would think about, okay, so I don't exactly know what that means from the definition of done perspective, but they're asking me to put something in production in the people's hand that they don't know if it's completely done or not. Versus if you had policies here, something that was going to come here might be stuck in testing, for example. And from testing to validation, for example, you have a policy that is not going to be validated before moving on to the next stage, and it's going to stay in testing, and that's fine. If it's going to stay in testing, Kanban has a way to deal with that. We have another layer that you can put blocked on it, have some information about why it's blocked. We have blocker clustering that we can get into if you're interested at another day. But it doesn't mean that you have to push it to get to done. In Kanban, we are going to rely on something that is truly representing visualization the reality. So if it's this policy here is not letting this test, for example, is this card move to validation, let it be there and blocked. So the policies should be very clear, should be understandable by everyone, and should be easy to change. So for example, a policy for development should not be something like the quality of development is good, but rather it could be that 95% of the code delivered is unit tested. Or if you want to talk about quality, it should be, it has been peer reviewed and someone else at the team has approved that. So that could be a policy here, and it should be easy to change. So if something is here, if you don't want the policy to be from 6 months ago and no one has touched it, right? Because it's an evolving world that we live in, and the customer needs change as well. So that should be reflecting on our board. These are, I tried to put some examples of policies. So for example, from development to testing, 100% code coverage, unit test. From backlog to development, scenarios, for example, identified. All of the scenarios for development of these to be identified. And from testing to validation, all scenarios tested. Again, this is a very quick example. But what would you do as a product person? Like, okay, so what would you do next, right? Okay, so if this has been accomplished with your Kanban board, try to move away from calling the first column that you have backlog. We call that options pool, and sorry for my handwriting, you guys have to read that. We call it options pool, and that's for a reason. We are saying that this is a pool of options, and by calling it a pool of options, it means that you don't necessarily need to go through all these are all the options that we have. And when you have options, an option would be not to take one of them as well. But when you call it a backlog, it gives you an impression that, oh, all these things need to be done. How many of you have been working in a team that your backlog keep growing and growing and none has been taken off the backlog, right? Because or just deprioritized, and you keep the list of things in your backlog. So what the first thing to do is call it option pool, but that's not enough. Try to have something below the options pool called discard area. So this gives the option pool the true meaning. So the things that are coming to the option pool, you have an option in your virtual board or in your physical board to discard them. And as a product person, try to find out what are the policies that the team put here that you can use or you can visualize to discard your cards earlier than later. So for example, if there is a policy for development that for example, if we are creating feature, we need to create that feature in iOS, in Android, in web, all at the same time. That could be part of the policies for development that you are from options pool. You are taking this needs to be done simultaneously. If there's an options, if there's an idea coming your way that you cannot do that in one of them, like easily discard that and don't let it be sitting there, because you know from the policies that are clear here that you cannot take those in, right? And you are going to the team might be working on that, but at the end of the day you cannot deliver that because that's the policy, unless you can change the policy. So this way you are going to focus your time and area mostly here, right? So try to, as a product person, move yourself from all of these things that are here. For example, validation, user acceptance. Typically in a Scrum way, I see that I don't recommend, but I see that there's product owner acceptance, the last column that is out there before putting in done. So if there's a product owner acceptance, you probably can rely on, not probably, you can rely on these policies for the team to understand what you need from them to accept it. You don't need yourself. You can use your time most effectively and most efficiently here, so that the work that comes to your team's way is more thought through, so that they don't discard. Because when you are coming this way, after they take it on development, if you discard something after that, it's going to be very very expensive, because the team, for example, if it comes to validation, the team already done the development, done the testing, and in validation you are discarding. You don't want to do that. You want to find out things earlier before the team takes it on to deliver that. And so yeah, as I said, like put most of your focus here. Like try to figure out, okay, so which one can I discard, which one can I break apart, which one can I make it smaller, which one can I make it in different types of work, or which one can I make it in different types of services. Maybe this request that's coming from a customer could be different types of work or different types of tasks that we need to build on. And trust the team, and trust the team that they are professional. They are there to deliver the quality service, quality product to your to your customer, and just from time to time maybe check in with them and see, guys, what this policy needs, right? If you see that the policy, for example, here is not changed in 3 months, just facilitate the conversation with them. Say, guys, do we need to look at the policies and change them? Maybe they already changed and it's not, they didn't have time to put it up there. And focus, when you trust them, so focus most of your time to the left of this options pool rather than to the right. So try to remove yourself from the delivery part to exploration part over here. And there are lots that you can do over there. So you need to build a funnel. You need to build the pipeline for getting all these ideas, right? And again, back to Joanna's comment, this could be very contextual. So in your situation, the funnel might look like something totally different. But you need to build that one so that your team, your job, and your and it's not an easy one. Your task would be to make sure that when something comes here to the options pool, this can be applied to all these policies that we have here, or be compliant. And on top of that, it's something valuable for our customer, something that the customer needs, and something that the customer asks, and something that is viable for us to do as well. It's if you have an idea of like you want to build the next generation of like operating system for mobiles, and you are not Google or Apple, probably you cannot take it in, even though it complies with all of your policies that you have there. Try and each time put more and more effort, and like you can even have more policies here to discard at each step. And I didn't call these steps individually, but you can find a generic one, exploration, then based on your strategy, and then your horizon 1, 2, 3, and then what it comes here. But again, based on your business, find out how you can earlier and earlier discard them, and before it comes here. And for here, you don't need your you don't need your team to be involved. This is all you, and this is what you are helping eliminate waste before coming to your development.
So Shahin, we have a couple of questions,
Sure,
and I think it will be fun to answer them because we are talking on the topic here.
Right.
So can we say policies are like user stories in Scrum? So that's one question.
No, so think about policies as most like acceptance criteria in your user stories. So for example, when you say, for example, an acceptance criteria would be that, not acceptance criteria, definition of done, right? For example, in your because definition of done is a amalgamation of like what you can generalize in acceptance criteria. You're going to put it as definition of done, right? For example, if you see in all of your user stories, the acceptance criteria is that our code coverage test should be 95%, then you're going to put that in your definition of done, and you're not going to repeat that, right? So rely on the definition of done, if you have that, to break it apart into your policies, and try to, and this is a challenging task, to move it from, for example, figure out this part of definition of done is applied to here or applied to here. And that's the challenge. But when you figure that out, that's much easier to handle that.
Yeah, so more like conditions, or like Imran said, or guidelines.
Right. So for example, for testing, you might have like, I need the test data to be ready before I take it into testing, right? So, but you don't know who that would be responsible for that, right? But this is the policy. And if you don't have the test data ready, so it's going to become a backlog or a bottleneck in your development. And then you would look at your flow and figure out how I can deal with that, versus it comes to the end and say, oh, we didn't test with all the test data that we needed.
Perfect. Thank you. And we have a question around options pool.
Right.
Can you
Just a
define
question on
policies
that.
before commitment point? And then Imran asked the question, is options pool a prioritized pool, or is it up to the team what they pick from the pool?
Okay, so what was the first question? I didn't hear the first question.
Can you define policies before commitment point? For example, the options pool, when you have the optional.
Oh, by Nawaz, can you define policies before commitment point? So I'm assuming that commitment point you're identifying here, and yeah, you can have policies before, but these policies would be exploration policies, not delivery policies. It would be more the policies around discovery. So for example, a policy here could be at this point, we want to make sure that the policy would be 20%. For example, we foresee that at least 20% of our clients are going to use this feature. And if we don't foresee that, right, we are not going to take it to the next level. So you can have the same technique here in your funnel of discovery as well. Oh, thank you. And so there was another one about options pool that I guess Imran asked.
Yes, is options pool a prioritized pool, or is it up to the team what they pick from the pool?
So we are going to get to that, but to answer you, it's not prioritized in a way that it's list prioritized, right? It depends on so in Kanban, like when we are talking about service, you might have different service providing to your customer, right? And maybe your development team that is very specialized in one service is busy at the time, but you have availability from another developer to work on something that is less priority. So you are going to look at all the conditions that are out there, not only the priority to take in the work. So if there is a developer that can, for example, work on website rather than iOS, and all your iOS people are busy, although the iOS task or stories that we have here are more prioritized, like or have more higher priority, we are not going to say that that person become like sitting on and do nothing, right? So we are going to bring that one in. So as I said, there are lots to talk about. Like we are getting into the work types, we are getting into the classes of services in Kanban, and all of these play a role in what you pick from the options pool to bring in. And the question that you asked, it could be part of your policy as well. That part of our policy is that at each time we want to have at least one development task, one, for example, web type task in our development. So that could be part of your policy. You can use the policy to shape how you're prioritizing the tasks that you're picking as well. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And then the last one that we have here, when are policies usually changed, during execution or retrospective?
Yeah, so we won't recommend to change it during execution, right? So if during execution something, so again, these policies should be clear, should be written by the team and understood and agreed by the team, right? So for example, we are not going to have a policy that is coming from top down and say that this is our testing policy, right? If you are doing regression, you should do regression on all these 120 test cases, right? For everything that you put there. If the team doesn't agree, we are not going to put it there. But if the team puts the policies in, and there's something blocking them, right? So it depends. If it's blocking them, if it's very high importance thing to get to production, you can have the retrospective on the spot and the team agrees that this policy needs to be changed. But you are not going to change, like ignore the policy on the spot to move it forward. And the policy changes can be, as I said, it should be easy to change. You don't need necessarily to have a retrospective event. You can at the Kanban daily stand-up, or it's similar to the stand-up that is Scrum happening, a little bit different. you can say that I'm stuck in this because we had this policy. I want to change this policy, or I think we should change this policy, and the people on the team can chime in and you guys can have a conversation and then move forward with it. If you guys don't agree that this policy can be changed, and if it's not that much important of the task that to get done right now, it can be blocked until you deal with that. I hope that makes sense. And that was all of the question, I believe, John.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
No worries. So yeah. So yeah, and this is a commitment point, as I think Nawaz was mentioning. So treat the line after options pool as your commitment point. Treat it as if I don't want to say your life depends on it, right? But treat it as if I'm taking something in, I'm making sure that I deliver this one. And for doing that, the team can tell you what they need from you by telling you the policies, but you need to be able to get the task or get all the information needed, get all the research and exploration done before putting it on the options pool. And so so first of all, make it explicit that this is a commitment point with the team. We don't want to discard anything after this commitment point. We want all the discard happen before the commitment point, and we get something, we want to make sure that it can be done 100%. And again, because if it's not done, like you wasted lots of energy and lots of time there. So this is what I was referring to as a service request lens. So as a product person, you want to work most of your time here. You are talking to the customers, you are building the pipeline, you are focusing on options pool, you are focusing on how to discard, you're focusing on building and maintaining with the team the policies that they have, and less focus on working here with the team. And if there's something that the team is needing from you, you want to try and figure out how can they be empowered to do it themselves, right? Is there, for example, in user acceptance, is there some information needed before committing to that I need to put in any of these tasks, that when they get to this stage, they have those information, right? Because again, imagine that after the commitment point, we are sure that is delivered. How much more predictable, how much more reliable, and how much more satisfied the customer could be if they know that we are working on this one and we are delivering this one. There are some, for example, if you work in teams that you have before development, you have research and analysis. I work with teams that they have those columns, like, oh, we need to research this before taking it on as a developer. So those tasks or those kind of activities would become things that you are doing before you're putting in the options pool. Like bring those activities outside of your delivery cycle. Put it in the service request management cycle. You are going to talk to the customers, and in a higher maturity organizations, you would even have customers being part of these kind of discussion and getting it to here. And I say it doesn't end here. There are lots of things that you can read about and apply Kanban maturity model, as I said, on the more mature levels of organization. You have even customers part of your process and part of the conversation to select the options pool and the options for you. And you even have something called triage tables that you can rely based on your life cycle, based on the classes of service. And this kind of talks to the question that we have, how to prioritize that based on the timelines that you have, based on the urgency that you have, based on the data that you have analyzed from before. When do I start, and which work do I start on? So it doesn't end here, but think about Kanban as an ocean that you are going to start putting your feet in, and it gets deeper and deeper as you go along. But it doesn't end here, but baby steps. So, and as Joanna said, I am a Kanban trainer. So if you like, I'm running some courses in January and beyond. So, and for this group, I put a special coupon for Kanban Gem. If you apply that, it gives you over 200 over the 15% early bird event. And if you have any challenges out of work, let me know. We can work something together if you are really interested in knowing more about Kanban and getting deeper into that. With all that being said, I want to thank you everyone to listening to me. And if you have any more questions, I'm here. And again, thank Joanna and Peter for having me.
Thank you so much, Shahin. Any
Awesome.
other questions? I don't see any other questions.
So it's very much a gated process, really, if I'm trying to kind of relate to what I know. It's a strongly gated process, and the policies define the gates. Is that a way to think about it?
Yeah, you can call it a gated process, but the gates are defined by the people doing the job.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Rather than having the gates imposed on them.
Right.
Okay, good.
And I would say that the gates are also changing based on the needs of the team. So
Right.
It's not something set in stone. So you can actually tweak as you go to make sure that it works with you, not against you.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Working with teams, I always tell them, if your Kanban board doesn't evolve, it means that you're doing something wrong. So if you see the same Kanban board after 6 months, there is something probably not good enough. Like there is some opportunities to change.
That's a great question. Thank you, Ken. So Peter, do we want to wrap up?
I think so. So, oops, one more slide. There we go. Now, Joanna and I are looking at each other saying, who's going to talk first? Go ahead, Joanna.
Thank you. So this is what we said at the beginning, like we had a very interesting year. And I think with all the pandemic and all the situation, it forced us into having all these virtual events. And again, we thank you again for your participation and for joining us every time. We've done 7 webinars, including this one. We started in April. The target is to do one every month. And I would definitely encourage you to provide us with feedback, come back to us and tell us if we're on the right track. If you want to see anything in particular, if you want to see something different, because as Shahin was talking, it's all about that continuous improvement. And we are hoping that we are continuously improving. So that's the whole point, to do as many so we continue to improve. All of them are on our website, newgmp.com. And in there, you can search for past events. And you can look at the recordings because they are all recorded. So if you see something interesting and you want to share with your team, or you want to share with friends, family, anyone who could benefit from these webinars, please do so. We've also had many engagement with projectmanagement.com, trying to influence that community to think more of a broader picture on product management and think about how projects are actually the engine to deliver results, to deliver products of value to customers. We've had many events around that. Three events this year that have more than 15,000 viewers together. And we've also participated in the Project Manager Business Analyst World in July and October, talking about more of the product management and product ownership, and other events that we've done with other partners. And definitely go there and check at newgenp.com. Peter, back to you.
No, you keep going. Tell us what's happening next, Joanna.
What's happening next? We're going to have Savita and Mark talk about virtual teams. It's going to be very exciting because they are very savvy and very experienced in virtual teams. So this is a different nuance, in terms of the execution and delivery. So directly back to the project life cycle. So we invite you to join us on January 25th. This is the QR code for that, if you want to take a picture and then go there and register.
Yes, I just put it up today, so you can be one of the first to register. And please note the next session will be on a Monday, on January 25th. So this is a little different than our normal Fridays for this one. Okay, thank you, Joanna. So I'm looking forward to that as well, and seeing many of you hopefully be able to come back and join us next year as well, as we have an interesting group of webinars planned for you. So just as a reminder, we have our product owner course that we're making available to you. That's on the next slide. Our course is designed to be self-paced. We typically say do a module a week. So that's over 8 weeks, you go through the modules. Each module has 4 sections, each one with a short video, short 8 to 10 minutes, plus a worksheet that you can do. When you complete the worksheet, you email it to us, and Joanna and I will review it and give you feedback. Also, we have weekly sessions where we can be available to answer any questions that you have when you're taking the course. When you're done, we'll send you a badge that you can post on LinkedIn, as well as send you a certificate. Plus, those of you who are interested in collecting PDUs, you can get 16 PDUs with our product owner course. So please take advantage of this. Your next slide. Please take advantage of our discounts that we have available to you. Early Christmas present, or a Christmas present for one of your colleagues or for yourself. So the product owner course is available for 199 Canadian. That's the one I was just talking about. You can scan the QR code on the slide. We also have a course on starting Agile, which gives you 16 easy steps to move from 0 to an Agile team or an Agile department, or even an Agile organization. That one follows with the same sort of approach, where we have templates that you can complete and steps under each step to be done. So, and if you have any questions about any of the things we've talked about, you can visit our website at newgenp.com. You can email us at info@newgenp.com if you have any questions, or we're happy to have a virtual coffee to discuss any of your product ownership questions. You can get our book on Amazon.com, GenP, New Generation of Product Owners. And, oops, don't want to go ahead yet. And of course, we have a nice holiday season. Stay safe and stay healthy. We look forward to seeing you on January 25th for our next webinar. Joanna, anything I missed that you want to add before we wrap up?
No, all is good. And I wish everybody a great holiday season as well. And stay safe, and we'll see you in the next year.